welcome to this edition of the Success Equations podcast. I am Pat Hancock, and I am happy to have an awesome guest today. We'll get into how we know each other, but I think you're really going to enjoy this one. I've had the pleasure of working with her for probably going on 2 years now, and with that said, I want to introduce to you Sofia Corripio, who is an entrepreneur. She is a business owner of a company called Social Latina. And, I want to give Sofia a warm welcome. As I understand, Sofia, this is your first podcast?
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for the invitation, and I really appreciate it. I'm grateful to be here.
Good. I'm glad. Again, I know we're going to have some fun today. And, with that said, we want to get into your story. We want to, as we kind of talk about each episode, the whole concept or premise of this podcast is, success is no secret, first and foremost. There are plenty of resources out there, plenty of people that, would be considered successful, books, podcasts, you name it. And also that success is a subjective term. It's open to interpretation. You can be successful in many areas. As we were saying, you typically think that it always has to be about money, but that's not the case. There are many other areas or buckets in which you could be successful. So, Sofia, I'm going to stop talking because, as you know, I can talk and I can talk and I can talk. So I want you to take us back to many moons ago, young Sofia. Tell everybody, where you're from, where you grew up, and kind of what started, how'd you start on this journey that led you to today here on the Success Equations podcast?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for that introduction. I'm super excited to be here because, as you say, it's my first podcast from a lot of that it will come in the future. So I'm happy for that. But, well, yes, I'm Sofia, and I'm from a little town in Mexico, so that it calls Tampico, and it's in the north of Mexico. And I always live with my family. And then since I was a kid, I always dreamed to be traveling around the world. That was my dream. I want to learn more because I knew that it was more in life than just my little town, and which I love and I appreciate so much. But yeah, I always have my grandfather, which for me it's extremely important because since I was a kid, in my house was always discipline, respect your elders, as being a Latin, the culture is so different. We're loud and we moms are crazy, but it was something that right now I think about it and I miss it a lot, right? So I think one of the main words that it comes to my mind since I was a kid, it's work hard and discipline, and respect others. That was our main values in our home. So I think everything comes from there. Before talking about this podcast, right? My first business was when I was 8 years old. So I remember watching in that time TV because it was so different from what it is right now, social media. And they had this show that it was called Laguna Beach. And it was these huge houses and these kids that they were from rich families and traveling and all that. And I was oh my God, what it takes to be there, right? Because in that time you have just a different idea of, money is everything in life, right? So I was I want to be like them. And I used to tell my sister, I will travel the world. I will be so important, that everyone will know me. And she was yes, dream big. And something that I learned from my grandfather is something that he used to tell us is never allow anybody to tell you that you cannot do something. And if they tell you can't do it, you will show them how to do it. So it was tough in my childhood. My parents were separate. And it was this shock of two different mindsets. Both of them, they were entrepreneurs. And my dad was traveling most of the time. But it was challenging because it's okay, if I want to be an entrepreneur, I'm not going to be able to have time for my kids. Because that's what I was thinking, right, in that time. And it was also very challenging because people it was a situation in my family that financially was so different. And for having everything shift, right? So I was like, okay, now it's a time for me to start working, how I can bring money to my house, how can I support my family. And it's just something that shifts your mindset, that it's not about, okay, my dreams, I don't know if I'm going to make it happen, but it's just a hunger that it wakes up on yourself, that it's about how I can achieve this. It's not I want it, it's how I'm going to get there. And when I used to look at my grandfather, it was like, never allow anybody to tell you who you are, who, like, how, if you can achieve something or not. And one of the things that I admire him the most is because he came for a very humble family, and he told me, I know how to be poor and I know how to be rich because I built it myself. So when everything came through my family, and other people were just leaving us behind or judging us, or like, oh my god, don't go with them because they don't have money, and it was something that really shocked me in that time. I was like, wow, I didn't know that people only will give you the value because you have this status or you don't have that status. So since there, I remember, like, I will never be like that. I will always have this humbleness, to show up as myself first, and second, to care about a person of for who they are and know what they have. So I think that's the first steps in my childhood. The discipline. I was gymnastics since I was a little kid. Then after that I changed to be a dancer, and all that party showed me that if you don't put the work, things will not come to you. You have to work and work hard, and it's something that it will always going to be someone out there much better than you all the time. And if you don't have that, like, in your back of your head, people will eat you alive. And it's I think that's a huge value for myself. Discipline is what it has being part of most of my life, because in a little bit I will tell you everything that I went through, and it's just so beautiful, that word, because it can change your path for your entire life. If you're disciplined, if you believe in yourself, and if you're consistent and work hard, things will come for you. Yes or yes.
Awesome story.
Yes.
I didn't know back then, and you that far back with, we've talked a lot over the last couple of years, but great story, especially when you talk about your grandfather. I can tell he meant a lot to you. That's awesome. So you made me think of two questions that I don't think I've asked anybody yet on the show.
Okay.
First one is, I think we talked right before we started, is, your first kind of entrepreneurial endeavor business was when you were 8.
Yes.
And mine was, as I told you, was, starting a little neighborhood bicycle repair shop when I was in middle school. So what's that? I don't know, 12, 13.
Yeah.
And so here's my question. Do you think being an entrepreneur, choosing this crazy lifestyle, do you think that's something you're just kind of, that mindset you're born with? Or is it something that you develop? What do you think?
I think it's both. I think the first one, it comes like you have it on you, and also depends a lot of your circumstances. Like, what is your background? What are the things that you're living? Because each person is different. Each person has a different story. So in myself, I would say that I was born with it, because since I was a little, since I was a kid, I was like, I will make it happen. I believe in myself, and I know I will make it. It's what's just my personality, and still is. Uh, and it was a lot of times that I doubted myself, but it's also the circumstances, because I have my sister and we just are so different. And it's because we have different lifestyles, where she was the rich kid and I was the one, like, okay, your parents doesn't have anything, so you need to go and look for it. So it comes with a hunger, like, okay, I have this responsibility. Yes, I'm 8 years old, but how I can support my family so we have at least food on the table, right? So I think it is very important. And there's other people that they're not entrepreneurs, or they don't have that hunger, but then later in life it's like, okay, I'm sick of this, or I'm tired of just my parents giving me this, or my partner just giving me everything. And they will go through that part of, okay, I don't have anything to eat, I need to look for it, you know. So it's kind of both, and it's none of those paths are bad. It's just something that I think it relates a lot to the personality and your story with your family, because it's since you're a kid, that's what molds when you're older, and things can change all the time. I believe people can change all the time. You don't have an age to not change.
I agree with you there. I agree with you there. So, second question is, we both grew up in playing sports and participating in sports. My son, who's a financial advisor, when he first started, he's starting to learn the 100% commission. He's grinding it out, and he said something to me one day. He's like, "I really am happy that I, grew up playing sports because it taught me about winning, losing, failure, getting kicked in the head and, getting knocked down, having to get back up again." What do you think sports, your gymnastics history, do you think that kind of helped prepare you for running a business and being an entrepreneur?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's sports, any kind, it will give you the discipline and it will challenge your mindset to you can like, I don't want to do it, but you have to continue. And it also puts you in that, it's like in that stage of you have competition, but you're not looking at your competition. You're like, how I can become better myself every single day so I can get there. And for example, at least with myself with Olympics, it's if you want to go and compete with the best ones, you need to become the best one. And how you become the best one? With discipline, with mindset, and just like quieting that inner voice that it tells you you cannot do it, you're tired, just stay in bed. It's like it's that constant challenge with yourself and battling, and it takes a lot of besides discipline, it takes a lot of courage, because there's some days that you will not want to do it, and there's some days that the motivation will be super high. But in that time when we're kids, it's also the mentors and the coaches that you have around. Because if you have a coach that tells you, "No worry, you can rest and tomorrow you come back," you will believe it and you say, "Okay, it's fine." But if you have a coach like, "Okay, do you want that?" You will need to work 10 times more. So it's about yourself, yes, and sports are extremely important at that age because it gives you the power of doing it and do it. And in that time, it's so easy to grow and to learn that you will find something new in yourself that is like, okay, I am becoming better because I am doing this every single day. Because when we're kids, we do not understand what is discipline, or my parents were telling me this. So I think when you're a kid, as long as you start seeing results yourself and how do you feel, you will continue doing it, and that molds your mindset forever. It's just the fact that, okay, I didn't quit in this time when it was hard. I just continue, and then now, few years later, it's paying off. So yes.
Yeah, and you've mentioned discipline a few times and motivation, and that's for sure. I'm sure you would agree. There are many, many mornings where especially Monday mornings for me, and Thursday mornings for some reason, but that the motivation is not quite there. But it's that discipline because you've been, as you said, also you've been going through the motions day after day after day. That discipline kicks in, and it's like, all right, I'm getting up. I don't feel like going to work out, but that's just what we do, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I agree. I think sports is huge. If you're a parent listening out there and you got young kids starting out, I'm a huge advocate of getting them involved in some type of sport, right? So all right, so let's fast forward a little bit. Tell
Yeah.
what's that next phase that kind of came into play?
Well, so after that, I started my first business at 8. I started working at 12. I was an animator, and I was like, my dad in that time was like, "Okay, I like that you're working, but as any family, 50% is for you, 50% is for me." And I used to, oh my God, I remember, like, "Why are you doing this to me?" He was like, "You will learn, and then you will thank me later in life." So yes, I started working since I was 12, and then from there, when I was 15, I moved to United States because part of my mom's family, they live like they're Americans. So it was a different scenario for me. It was the first time that we used to travel a lot to United States, but But in that time, it was like, okay, now I'm going to live by myself, right? It was the first time. And it really opened my mind because I had classmates that they were from different countries, different cultures, different backgrounds. And I remember the first week when I was in high school, I was like, you know what? I don't want to come back to my city. Like the people are, I love my city and I'm not judging, but we're so close minded in that city. Like, okay, you have this status and this is how you achieve in life and you get married, you have kids, and that's it, right? And I was like, I don't know, my life is supposed to be more. I want to learn about cultures, I want to learn about people. So then when I was 17, I continue, learning fully English because I used to speak English, but not as fluent as now. So I was like, okay, I will continue learning English, becoming better. And in that time is when my dad was diagnosed with cancer, right? So I remember going back to my city and just I remember so clear. Like my dad say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I need to talk to you, and I'm sorry that I didn't do it before, but it's important, and I only have 6 months. That's it." And for me, was like it was shocking. It was like what's happening in my life. So everything that I had, it was like I don't mind. I will leave it, and I will just go back to stay with my dad. So he didn't want it like that. He wanted me to explore the world because he knew that I wanted to be someone in life. So I remember I spent like 1 month in my city with him and my mom and my sister, and the last Christmas with him. And he told me, like, you can achieve anything you want in life, but this is the last time I'm going to see you. And for me, it was like, are you serious? And he was like, yes, I don't have much time. Like, I don't have more time. So I just have a few more weeks. And it was very hard for me, very, very hard. But I think that part, it was heartbreaking. And after that, it was the first part. Like I say, I need to become 1000% independent. Like, this is where my life starts. I don't have the same opportunity as my friends. Like, oh yes, I'm going to travel here, I'm going to study my career here. It was like that doesn't exist for me. It's a different path. And in that time, I had an opportunity to live in Canada, as in a camp, and they offered me like a work visa and everything. And my dad said, go and start, learning more, gain experience. And yes, when I was 17, I told my mom, and she was like, okay, if you want to do it by myself. I went to Canada and I spent the best time of my life in there. And from there, I started meeting people, and I always had this love for nature. Nature makes me feel alive, like this is where I belong, right? Like how all these beautiful things are around me, and it makes me feel something. So I was camping, I was a counselor for kids, I was dancing because I was a dance teacher. They were paying me for that and teaching them. And it was just a very nice time because kids, they were like 9, 10, 11, and they were in my cabin. And I loved it. I met wonderful people. But after that, I started drinking and I started smoking. And then I moved to Mexico again. And I went to Monterrey, where I did my career. And it was okay. It was okay in that time. But I think it was a lot of emotions inside of me that I didn't know how to handle. That when I was 19 and 20 was the hardest years of my life. And I never talked to it like about this with anybody in that time. Right now, my family knows, of course, and everything. But I had a relationship that my ex-boyfriend was older than me, and he was just dragging me to this no healthy lifestyle. And it was like the drinking become more. I was like, I didn't want it to be with myself because all these thoughts will come to me like, oh my god, I cannot be here. Or it's like, I miss my dad, but this already happened like 3 years ago. Why I'm feeling this right now? I'm hustling every day to pay my career, to have a place to live, to have food. It was tough. It was very tough in that time. And I mixed myself with people that they were not good for me at all. They were just dragging me like, let's try drugs, let's do this. And I knew inside of me, like, I don't want this, but I want to be like, I want to fit in this social circle. I want to be part of it because I think it's cool, right? So I went through a different path, and my discipline, my habits all disappeared. There were days that, yeah, there were days that I used to wake up at 10 a.m. and it's like, I don't know if I want to be here. Like, I really started thinking, like, should I be here in life? Like, this is my life. Like, it is worth it. And I started having very negative thoughts. Like, I have always considered myself very positive, but in that time, everything was negative, and I was just faking it, right? Like, oh yes, I'm happy, but inside I was like, what I'm doing here? Like, I don't like to be here. I don't like these people, but I was just going through it. After that, I moved to Mexico City, and I found amazing people, but they were also not very good influence. And my drinking started going from Thursday to Sunday to then start drinking every single day. Like from Monday to Sunday after work, because in that time I was 21, and I feel so grateful because I had a huge opportunities to work for big companies, and I was working, and I was earning a lot of money for my in that time for my age, but I was lost in life, right? Like, I had everything professionally, but emotions, friends, I was so far away from my family. I didn't even want to talk to them, to my mom and my sister. I was just going with the flow, like this mindset of I don't care about anybody, you know? And I wasn't a bad person, but I didn't care. I was just like, I'm having fun and I will continue. And I think in that time, I lost myself. I lost myself, and I was still training, I was still dancing. I had these responsibilities, but every time after work, I needed, like, let's go for some drinks because I couldn't be with myself. And I think this is super important because when you are not aware of your own emotions, will start acting with no sense. You will think, yes, I'm fine, but there's something always behind your subconscious that is telling you this is not right. You're supposed to be doing something else. And yeah, I was feeling devastating until I think when I was 23, 24, I stopped dancing. I stopped my habits 1000%. I was sleeping just a few hours during the weekends. I remember that, like, it was Sunday morning, and I remember waking up at 2 p.m. and just asking myself, like, why I'm doing this for myself, like feeling the worst, like, and just like asking God, like, and the universe, like, please help me to get out of this life because I don't like it. And like, I used to look people like doing exercise, and I'm like, I want that. I want to be that person that wakes up at 7 a.m. At 8 a.m. it's already, ready to go and do exercise and have this healthy lifestyle that you can tell that they love themselves. And I used to dream about that. So, but I was doing the opposite. So after 1 year, I had a surgery where the doctor told me, like, if you continue with this lifestyle, you will not be here by 30. Like, I'm serious about this. And that moment was just, it changes everything. From one day to another, I stopped all of the friends that I had. I stopped going out. I moved to United States. And in that time, also, I remember I stopped drinking and smoking from one day to another. After my surgery, I was like, it's enough. I don't want to do this, and I'm done. I'm done with this life. And that's my mindset and my discipline behind, right? Like, it's like, you can do it. You can do it. And I did it. And I just started, okay, what can I do right now? I was in debt in that time. I was like, my life was so different from what I was building in the time. But I think it was necessary to become the woman that I am right now, because I was so disciplined, and start reading, start journaling, start understanding my emotions, about how can I regulate my nervous system, why I feel anxious when I'm by myself, why I need to be always around people, why I always need to be doing something. And I start questioning my entire life, everything. Like, is this person good for myself, like for my life? Or is just dragging my energy, like consuming my energy, or that person is only there when they need something from me. So that moment shifts my entire story, and I became so disciplined that then I decided to study health coach to support other people and other women to become the best version of themselves. And right now, I don't do that because I have my own business, but it's something that I love. And I think you can change anytime you want. You can change your life today if you want. It's only, you're away, like you're one decision away from that, because that's what it takes, one decision to change your life forever.
Wow, that was great. That we haven't gone that deep in our conversation, so that was
I don't
that
know.
was something. But I tell you, you could have easily chose to stay in that lifestyle, right? I mean, I'm sure you would agree that it's easier. It would have been easier to stay in that lifestyle and hang out with those friends than do what you did, right? I mean, exercise, eating good, going to bed on time, all that kind of stuff is a lot harder than sitting around, eating, drinking, and hanging out with the wrong people. And they always say, what do they say? You're the sum of your five closest friends. And
Yes.
I think, when you try to live a better life and a healthier life and do what you're doing, you tend to lose friends along the way. It's just something that happens. But that's awesome that it's almost like, I wonder if you kind of, going back to the sports thing and you growing up and those positive influences that you had at an early age, it's almost like that was always in you when you say, you kept hearing, it's like the devil and the angel, right? You kept
Yes.
hearing that angel on your shoulder, kind of telling you what you already knew you should be doing. And then finally, you just decided to flip that switch and make that change. So that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Thank you.
So then, so what came next before we get into kind of your daily routine? Is that when you started Social Latina, or is there?
Yeah, it's like I started health coaching and I had 200 classmates. It was in IIN at school in New York. And we were like, I think 10% were men's and 90% we were women. And I had in that time fashion design background and also working for big companies and then marketing background. So they start asking me, Sophia, can you please help me with my social media? And I was doing it for free. And I was like, yeah, I can help you. It's okay. And after that, I saw like they started recommending me, and I was like, okay, I think this could become a business. So it's when I started taking seriously. But I was hustling. I had like, oh my god, I had like four jobs at that time. I was like entrepreneur, but also I was doing health coaching for women. I was a door dasher, Uber Eats. I was doing everything. I was like during the weekends. I remember in that time I was living in Miami, and I used to buy acai bowls, like I used to go buy everything prepared and go and walk from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the beach just to, start selling my acai bowls. It was something. It was like I started from, like, I was like, if I want to do this, I will make it happen and nobody's going to come and give it to me. So it's like, and in that time, I also met my husband, like before Miami. We were a couple and we were like, he was living in Orlando and I was living in Miami. So it was just like everything came together. When I started working on myself, it's like the right people, the right opportunities, everything came in the right moment. So that's why I truly believe when you work on yourself and you're like 100 loyal to your values, everything will align with the right people, with your energy, with what you want to achieve, because that's what we are. We're energy and we are always attracting what we think, or if you do this, don't surprise that you will receive that. So yeah, it's where I started with Social Latina. And
I love what you said. I may not say it exactly how you said it, but something to the effect where if you can't just sit around expecting it to come to you, you got to go out and get it. I
yeah.
think it's again, what's the easier thing to do? Sit around and wait for something to come, which usually what comes isn't really going to help you out too much, right? Or going out and getting it and developing that hunger as you mentioned earlier. So I love what you said there. You and that goes back into getting up early and the discipline, and you got to go out and get what you want. You got to go out and work for it. So now
Yeah.
would you consider that period when you were 19, 20, hanging out with that group of people and doing what you were doing, would you consider that kind of the most challenging kind of time period in your kind of life so far and career so far?
I think personally in that time, yes, because I have more challenges, right? Like now I have my family, I'm a stepmom, which is a different type of challenges. With my husband being married, it's a different challenge. I have my business and different. I think from when I was 20, 19, 20, it was very tough for me because there was one moment that I woke up and I just wanted to, I started having suicidal thoughts. So it was very hard because I didn't even know who I was, and I was lost. So with the alcohol, for example, when you have negative thoughts and then you start drinking, you have that dopamine, but then the next day that your brain goes under that dopamine level, so you feel the worst. The same with drugs, right? So I think that part was very challenging, and it really defined who I am right now because I lost everything, and I was like, okay, this is not healthy, and this is not good, and it was for a few years. Yeah, and I think I don't know. I believe a lot. I have a lot of faith in God, in the universe, and I respect other religions, but I really like I thought that it was God that saved me. Like this is not your path. Like let's move you from another one because you have everything. And as you say, like I love this the meaning behind your podcast because I know a lot of people out there that they have success in their life, and it's not about the money, it's about all the challenges they have come through, and it's like you're here, how you did that. Like it's amazing your story, and I love that it's life, it's so beautiful and it will come with challenges. But as I told you before, if you don't put the work, it's like your journey will have beautiful moments, but also there will be some moments that they're not sexy at all. You need to, okay, I am living. I remember that I was waking up at 3 a.m. and I was like, okay, if I want to survive, to have something in my, at my have a place to live, have food, I need to move. I cannot just be at my apartment and thinking that something will come. And I remember waking up at 3, exercising, trying to figure it out, like going and door dashing with podcasts. Like this, and I remember listening to myself, like, this is just for now. It's not forever. It's not forever. You have to put the work because you will have a moment that you need to go through that so you can become resilient and you can go through the other side and find that, like the best version of yourself. And that's something that you cannot buy. It's something that you just go through experience. And yeah, it
Yep.
was like that.
100%, 100%. So yeah, and that's one thing, and I'm not sure if we talked about it before we jumped on or when we jumped on. Is one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast was, again, subjective success is open to interpretation, right? And you can be successful in other areas, not just money. I think people seem to think that, if they're not rich or live in the big house, in Laguna Beach, then
Exactly.
they're not successful, right? But so there's all sorts of different buckets, as a parent, as a spouse, your faith, your body, fitness. So all right. So I know we both know that the morning routine is important. How you start your morning, it really dictates whether you're going to win that day or not. So what does a typical morning for Sofia look like?
Yeah, that's true though. I love my mornings. It's like my favorite part of the day. I wake up around depends 4:35. So the first thing I do, I wake up, I make my bed. That's the first thing I do. I have like
Yes, yes.
I have something in there. So then after that, I go downstairs and I have for I think right now for the last 7 years I have been journaling daily. So since I have very strong emotions and a lot of thoughts, I could have positive thoughts, negative thoughts, So I have learned just to observe my thoughts and write it down. So I wake up, I journal, like what I'm grateful could be my water, my family, my health, and I just start visualizing also my day and writing, because that helps me a lot to have that mindset. After that, I had a meditation. I have been meditating right now for 8 years daily. So that I'm super proud of that. It changed everything in my life. And then I do breath work, like 5 minutes, praying. Like I always say, thank you, God, for this day. And just make sure, like, I feel so blessed because I have the essentials. I have a beautiful life. And I think sometimes we forget about that. Sometimes I will not going to lie. It's like I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want it. But it's like, okay, I will do it. And when I do my routine, everything changes. My mindset, my energy, my body changes. And from there I start, depends, if I have my stepdaughter, my day looks totally different than when I don't have her. And exercise. From there, I start my work. Then I do my breakfast, which for me, I love my breakfast because I have noticed that if I do it, I concentrate and my energy lasts longer than when I don't do it. And from there, yeah, I start my day and finish early. But that's, for me, it's the most important thing. Visualization, feeling, breath work, like just to, okay, I am here and this is my moment. No social media, even I own an agency of social media management, like no social media for me. Not anything that it will, emails or all that stuff, that doesn't exist in the morning, because it's the most precious time for myself to be good for myself and for others. So yeah.
It really is. We're going to have to talk offline about meditation and journaling, because I've tried over the years to meditate, but I'm just lost with I sit there and try to meditate, and all I do is think about work. I hear the dog, the turtle tank. I haven't been able to figure that out, and my daughter bought me a journal because I had said I wanted to start journaling. So I've been journaling since January 1st. But again,
Perfect.
I don't think I'm doing it right. So you'll have to kind of give me some pointers on the meditation and journaling. But for
Yeah.
those of you out there listening to this episode, I promise you, if you incorporate a solid routine, read the book Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Just look it up online, ChatGPT it, the summary of it. If you have a solid, morning routine, it really does change your day. So that's awesome. So let's see. So kind of looking back, any lessons, big lessons that I know we learn lessons all the time, and we like to learn from our failures and mistakes. But is there any one that stands out over the years, that kind of comes to mind that you can share with us?
Yeah, I think it will come to, it doesn't matter in what stage of your life you are right now. You're capable of achieving anything you want, even if it's the worst scenario. If you're alive, you can become anything. And as I mentioned before, you're just one decision away from who you want to become. Because sometimes we think, oh, if I have more money, I will have more time. Or if I have more money, I will be able to become healthy. If I have more money, I will have more time for my family. If I have more money, I will be able to travel more. And to be honest, if you want to have more money, just talking about this example, that money will not come, because you need to have that discipline of having, like, okay, I know that I'm going to work hard and I believe in myself, and it doesn't matter what it's going to take, I will do it. And that comes, like, I'm not going to do it just when I'm motivated. I'm going to do it even when I don't want to. And I think that part, you stop with your excuses and you start taking action. Because sometimes it's like, oh my God, it's because I work the whole day and I don't have time. And it's like, I before I used to be like that. I used to say, like, I don't have time. I don't like when someone tells me I don't have time, because it's like, you don't have time or you don't have the right priorities, which is different, right?
Yep, yep, yep.
Because we all have the same hours a day, and why we have different people that are more than others, right? In terms of, not talking about money, but I'm taking like a giving your best version of yourself. So with that, it's like, if you're feeling right now that you're stuck in life, look at your habits, look where you're spending your time, look how many hours do you watch Netflix during the week, how many hours you're scrolling on social media, what are the junk food that you're eating each weekend, because all that, builds up, and it's like what you eat is what is going to become your thoughts becomes your feelings, and your feelings become sometimes reality because you're having that every single day. So if you're thinking, oh my god, it's just like, I don't like this, I don't like it, I don't like it, just stick to it. Okay, I don't like it, what can I do to take action and make it differently? Because if you don't do it, it will not come to you. That's the thing. Like, you need to go and expose yourself, so that opportunities, that life that you're dreaming for, just comes. Yes, because you already did the work. So I will say that work hard, be disciplined, take like track of why you're spending your time, which is the most precious thing that you have besides your health, and take care of your health, take care of yourself, show some self-love, and you got this, yes.
Hey, I love that, and you're so true. Without your, time goes by way too quickly, and without your health, you've got nothing, right?
Hmm.
So that's awesome. Before we get to where everybody can find you, I don't think we said how we kind of met and know each other, but you've been doing our marketing, our social media for, I think, going on 2 years now.
Yeah,
I think
almost
going on
yeah,
almost two
2 years.
years, right? I think in a couple
Yeah.
months it'll be 2 years, and so, the one thing about you that I've always loved, and my perspective, there's always an angel on your shoulder, right? So, you always come in, you're always smiling, you're always positive, you're always upbeat, and we love we've loved working with you, and
Thank you.
looking forward to continue working with you. So,
I
but
appreciate it. I
one
appreciate
thing
it a lot.
again, before we didn't mention one thing that I know you really have or find value in is, and I thought of it about the book you just posted, Buy Back Your Time, by Dan Martell, right? Shout out to Dan.
Yeah,
You're a big reader.
I love it. Yes, I'm this year. My goal is 50 books, and I
Nice.
on my seven
Really
books.
nice.
So
Really nice. I had to throw that in there too, because we're both avid readers, and
yeah,
I remember sitting there in the office one day, and I think it was a book. Was it 10X by Grant Cardone? And I go, you know who Grant Cardone is? And right then I
yeah,
was like, right, we have something in common, right?
yeah,
So anyway, hey, it's been awesome. This has been a blast. I knew it would be fun. I'm
yeah.
glad I am the first podcast that you've been on.
I
So when your
know. I'm so
podcast
excited.
gets to start one day, you can always say it all started on these success equations with me. So, but
With Pat,
hey, tell
of course.
everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, of course. My social media, it's on Instagram. It's Sofia Corripio, which is Sofi, and then my last name Corripio, Corripio. And my TikTok is the same. In the future, in a few months, I am launching my YouTube channel, so you will guys see more about habits, mindset, discipline. Yes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And we'll make sure to include your links and all that kind of stuff in the show notes. So,
Absolutely.
Sophia, again, thank you so much. I was looking forward to it, and again, can't wait to continue working with the Social Latina. And
Yeah.
your story was awesome. So,
Oh, thank you so much for this time, for your time, and for inviting me. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I just hope everyone that is listening, you're never away from your dreams. You just one step behind. Is like, take that action today. Look at your life. Stop like not being aware of your emotions or feelings or thoughts, and just put that a little bit of time, 10 minutes, and visualize like, okay, what's going on that I need to remove from my life so I can achieve anything I want. So, yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Hey,
one.
you too. We'll
Thank
talk to
you.
you soon.
Okay. Thank you.